Tom's Radio Toronto are entirely those of the hosts, guests, and callers who are entirely responsible for all show content and do not in any way reflect the opinions of Tom's Radio Toronto or its staff. These broadcasts are presented and made public as entertainment and general information only, in the hope that they will be entertaining and informative to listeners. They are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or mitigate in any way any disease or condition, or to promote any specific lifestyle, belief, religion, political affiliation, or other personal practice, nor is the information presented necessarily accurate or verifiable.
Magandang tanghali, Canada. Good afternoon, our friends and of course, mga Pilipino anywhere in the world na inaabot po ng Tom's Radio Toronto. Ito po ang programang Open Forum ng Tom's Radio, ating multicultural, the only Filipino radio that caters to multicultural communities dito po sa Toronto. Ngayong araw po, espesyal ang ating pagkatanghal sapagkat special guest po natin ang isa sa konting Pilipino na tumatakbo po dito sa provincial election na gagawin ngayon June 3. Well, pakikilala na po natin, hindi naman siya bago Dalas na natin na-interview nito. Please welcome Attorney Paul Sagil. Good afternoon, Attorney.
Kamusta po dito? Kamusta sa audience nito? It's
Okay.
nice to be back. Correction lang po, June 2nd po ang election.
June 2nd.
Mamaya, mahuli tayo.
ang June, actually, election, first Monday lagi ng kanya di ba?
Yeah, June 2nd po. June 2nd ang...
Iyon correction. June 2nd pala. June 3 ang nabanggit ko, sorry. Well, si Atty. Paul Sagil po ay kandidato para sa MPP sa Willowdale ng Liberal Party. Could you please expound on that, Attorney?
Well, it's an exciting time. Sabi mo po nga po, wala pa tayong Pilipino sa Queen's Park.
Yes.
So, ito ang pinaka-importanting chance natin na makakuha tayo ng representasyon sa Queen's Park sa provincial government dito. So, June 2nd is the election, and I'll be the candidate for the Liberal Party in Willowdale. It's a place that's very close to my heart, very close to my family, and I have a lot of connections to the community in Willowdale, and I know there's a lot of Filipinos in Willowdale. It is actually just next door to where we are, so I'm very happy.
Border lang ito ng Queen.
Exactly. Magkapit-bahay lang tayo.
Kapitbahay, correct. Alam mo naman dito sa kapitbahay mo, si Councilor James Pasternak yan, ang hand dito ngayon, Councilor yun.
Yeah.
At siya siyempre, dinidependahan natin sa Taste of Manila. Na mag-open na naman sa publiko, sa buong Filipino community. Hindi lang ngayong August 2021. But going back to the election on June 2, bakit sa Willowdale ka nalagay na tatakbo ngayon? And what happened? Kailan ka nagkaroon ba ng nomination o direct in-appoint ka ng presidente ng Liberal Party ng Ontario?
So, I'm very excited to be
Yes.
in Willowdale. Yung sabi ko nga, importante sa connection ng mga pamilya ko, importante sa connection ng mga kaibigan ko doon sa Willowdale. So, sa akin, itong parang, it's a microcosm. Like,
Yes.
Willowdale is like very many parts of Toronto. It's a very diverse place. It's at the heart of the city. For people who don't know, the borders are Bathurst, so kapitbahay lang tayo, nandito
Yes.
tayo sa Bathurst and Wilson. The other side, Bathurst, and then all the way to the end of to Bayview, and then Steeles in the 401 is the border. So it's a very vibrant community. So yung magulang ko, yung lola ko, doon dati nakatira. Yung brother-in-law ko, yung pamilya niya, doon din nakatira. Tapos nung nag-umpisa ako, sabi mo nga, abogado ako. Pero nag-umpisa ako ng career ko, kung ako, bank teller ako.
Hindi ka pa abogado.
Hindi pa ako abogado,
Yes,
pero
I know.
nag-umpisa ako ng career noon.
Yes.
Bank teller ako. Dun sa Willowdale, kasi nandun sa, malapit dun sa center point mo lang trabaho ko.
Yes.
So, kilala ko yung community noon. Marami kong kaibigan doon na nakatira.
Maraming Pilipino dyan.
Marami tayo kababayan doon. So,
Correct.
so sa akin, parang special na nandito ako tatakbo. Kasi nandun ang roots ko, nandun ang roots ng pamilya ko, nandun ang roots ng career ko, nandun ang roots ng community natin. Tapos kailangan natin makuha ng representasyon sa Queen's Park.
First time na maalalagay ang Pilipino rin, and you are the chosen one.
Well, sana naman. Kayo, sino mag-choose kung hindi yung mga voters?
Botante.
Yeah, exactly.
Correct.
So kung ako ang chosen one ng voters, talagang masaya ako. Pero sa akin, I want to make the community proud. That's what we've talked before. You said, we've talked a couple of times on the show. And I've always talked about my belief in bringing the community, the Filipino community here in Canada, up to a different level, giving them the recognition that they deserve, giving them the representation that we have been fighting for, and this is our chance.
When was the first time you learned that you will be chosen by the Liberal Party to be the official candidate for this MPP riding in Willowdale? When was it?
Well, I was named the candidate at a nomination meeting at the end of January,
Okay.
and so I've been the candidate for just over 2 months. And the election is in just 2 months. So, altogether, I've had, I'm going to have 4 months to prepare for this. But it's been a long journey. But I've been ready for this, and I'm looking forward to the days ahead. And we're ready. We have so much work that we've already accomplished, and we have so much more work to do. But we're ready. We have a campaign office. You've seen our flyer. We have volunteers that are going out. I'm here right now, but I'm going to be joining my volunteers later to continue canvassing. We're out there talking to the community, and we're going to make this riding liberal when it comes time on June 2nd.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, lalo na yung mga kababayan nating Pilipino nakatira rito sa Willowdale area, malaki yan eh. Nung tumatakbo pa yung dyaryo ko, the Philippine Courier, maraming Pilipino pong naghahanap kagad sa mga tindahang Pilipino, dami dyan eh. No? So I know that Paul Sagil here would, sa tingin ko, mahirap talunin to eh. Pero teka muna, ang tanong nga nila, sino kasi Paul Sagil? Who's Paul Sagil? Where did he come from? In the Philippines? Kaya sa dumating dito? At ano ba ang kanyang, let's say, trabaho, business, tinapos ka? Yun, malalaman natin dito, pagpapakilala natin. Kailan ka dumating ng Canada? Could you please give our televiewers some insight on who you are and where did you come? Where and when did you come from the Philippine area? Ano ba pamilya mo ron at saka dito?
Yeah. So, magiging 31 na. Kasi
31 years?
Yeah, so May 17th, 1991, doon ako unang pumunta dito. So 9 years old po ako nung dumating kami sa Canada.
Kaya ibig sabihin, lampas ka na ng 30?
Ito, hindi mo matatanong yun. Hindi pwede yun.
Oo,
yun ang offside na question. Hindi. 40 po ako. 40 po ako. So 31 years ago. So galing po kami ng pamilya namin sa Makati. Pero nung bata po ako, nung lolo at lola po sa on my mom's side, sila po ang nagpalaga sa akin. So sa diet po ako.
Diet, Camarines.
Opo.
Yes.
Pero yung lolo ko Bicolano, tapos yung lola ko po Bisaya. Tapos pagkatapos nun pumunta ako sa eskwela sa Manila hanggang lumipat po kami. Tapos nandito kami, ang dami namin yung lugar na tinirahan dito sa Canada. So tumira kami sa Brampton, tumira kami sa Etobicoke, sa North York. Pero malapit yung mga kaibigan namin, yung unang-unang babysitter namin dito sa Canada, doon sa Finch and Bathurst, doon mismo sa Willowdale.
Sa Willowdale, that speaks Finch and Bathurst here, Willowdale.
Yeah, so yun na marami.
So 1991 yun, eh?
Yeah. So marami kaming memories na, being part of the Filipino community here. Pupunta kami ng picnic sa Earl Bales Park.
Yes,
sa simbahan, dun sa yung unang-unang simbahan namin na pinuntahan. Marami dun sa
St. Pascal ba yan?
Ay, alam ko po yung St. Pascal.
Oo, yung sa may Steel Street.
Yeah. Sa Steel Avenue.
Oo, daming mga Pilipino nagsisimba nun eh.
Exactly. So, actually, dun sa border niyan, kasi Bathurst and Finch, tumira din ang parents ko dun eh. So, parang yung Willowdale mismo, parang
doon ka mismo.
ang daming naming memories doon. Pero, ang sinasabi ko po sa inyo, yung connection sa Filipino community dito, kahit saan ka sa Toronto, makikita mo yung community, they always come together.
Yeah, yung linkages ng mga areas where you lived before.
Yeah.
Yes, okay, naalaman na po natin ng 1991 dumating ang pamilya ni Paul at 9 years old. Ano? So dito ka nag-graduate ng high school hanggang college, hanggang mag-abogado ka.
Opo, kapitbahay din tayo doon nung high school po. Dito lang, malapit lang dito sa York Center.
Okay.
So, tapos pumunta ako sa York University for undergrad. Tapos doon ako gumawa ng law school sa Oxford. Tapos nagtrabaho, sabi ko, nagtatrabaho ko habang nasa undergrad ako. Nagtrabaho din ako sa TV. Doon ako nag-umpisa ng career ko.
So doon ka talaga nag-start ng work sa TV Bank, ano?
Yeah, pero yung umpisang branch na nagtrabaho ako, nandun, kapitbahay na ng Willowdale sa Young and Steels.
Okay.
Ang importante doon na parang siguro marinig ng mga listeners, mga audience ninyo.
Yeah. Nagtapos kang makilala.
Hindi, kailangan ko ng trabaho. Hindi ako pumunta dito sa Canada. Ang pamilya namin, hindi kami mayaman. Hindi kami pumunta dito ng Canada na marami kaming pera na, basta-basta kung saan mo gustong pumunta, doon ka pupunta. Kailangan nagtrabaho ako. Nakakuha ko ng scholarship, pero kailangan din ako nagtrabaho. So nagtatrabaho ako habang nasa undergrad ako.
Yun, working student talaga ng todo, no?
Alam mo, Tito, hanggang ngayon, binibilang ko na, since I was the age of 14, may trabaho ako.
Oo, ang aga mo nag-work, ano?
Kasi, alam ko, ang importante, kailangan ng tulungan ng pamilya.
Grade school pa lang yung 14 years old, di ba?
Well, kailangan tulungan ng pamilya, pero responsibilidad, parang yung pumunta tayo sa Canada, lahat ng mga Pilipino pupunta sa Canada, gusto nila ng mas magiging buhay para sa pamilya nila, para matuto yung mga anak nila ng magtrabaho, So yun tinuro sa akin ng mga magulang ko. Magtrabaho ka, you earn your way, you work your way, and then, you will succeed. You work hard and you will succeed. Yung unang-unang volunteer na trabaho ko, dito lang, malapit din dito, dyan sa near Bathurst and Wilson dito, di ba, may Jewish old age home, Baycrest. Doon ako nag-volunteer. So I started volunteering at a very young age, right? And then I started working at a very young age because I wanted to show, right, Filipinos work hard. We want to contribute to Canadian society. And now, at my age, I want to do that even more. I want to keep contributing to Canadian society.
At ngayon, you're running for a provincial position wherein there is no Filipino yet.
There's no
that MPP post sa probinsya ng Ontario. Ito ang pinakasikat na probinsya sa buong Canada. And of course, Ontario City is one of the biggest and most recognized city in Canada all over the world. Okay, babalikan po natin ang ating one-on-one interview with the Tony Paul Sagid after some words from our friends. Don't go away, we'll be back. Nice. Quick break muna tayo.
Mga kababayan, pwede na magpadala ng pera online to the Philippines gamit ang iRemit X. It's safe, secure, and hassle-free. Download the app from the Google or App Store and register for free. You can also visit our branches in Toronto, Calgary, and Vancouver. Or Google us at www.iremitx.com for more information. Huwag nang ipagpabukas pa. Download na!
Our company is committed to providing truthful, honest, competent, and result-oriented service through advising and representing our clients in Canada and overseas in a wide range of immigration matters. We focus on providing support, building dependable relationships, and promoting success. We are dedicated to understanding what results you want and to helping you understand what actions we can take on your behalf.
Simple lang kumita kahit nasa bahay ka lang. Gamit ang iyong Show My King online franchise business. Step 1, you post. Step 2, we deliver. Step 3, you earn. Tandaan, sa Show My King lang yan.
Kami organize. Kami organize. Kaya Alright, nagbabalik po ang ating open forum with our special guest for today, Attorney Paul Sagil. Siya po ang kandidata ng Liberal Party sa MPP dito po sa Willowdale. Yan po ay border po ito ng North York eh. At dyan sa Batterson, papunta hanggang doon sa Young Street. Daming Pilipino po dyan. Alam na alam ko yan. Balikan natin si Attorney Paul. Kanina, sinabi na niya, kailan siya dumating dito, nag-start siya working at the age of 14 hanggang sa marating na itong kanyang napakagandang posisyon. Siya po ay isang abogado ngayon at siya ay nagtapos talaga rito sa Canada, sa Toronto. And siya po ay pinili talaga ng Liberal para kanilang opisyal na kandidato sa Willowdale riding bilang MPP. Wala pa pong Pilipinong nananalong MPP dito sa probinsya ng Ontario. First time ito si Attorney Paul Sagil. Ngayon, tanongin natin si Attorney Paul. Kailan pumasok sa isipin mo at sa puso mo, sa damdamin mo ang politika?
Ang lalim nun.
Lalim nun, no?
Damdamin.
Damdamin eh. Alam mo naman, mga Pilipino, maraming ambisyon, panaginip. Ngayon, totoo yun sa iyo eh.
Alam mo po, sa totoo,
Oo.
hindi ako nag-isip na magiging politician ako.
Oh?
Alam ko, ang isip ko lang, gusto kong tumulong sa tao. Yun ang ginagawa ko buong career ko. Gusto ko lang tumulong sa community, gusto ko lang tumulong sa tao. Ang opportunity na maging politician, maging representative sa Queen's Park, isang extra opportunity lang yun na tumulong. Pero marami akong ginawa before I thought about politics. Before I became a candidate, that's what I dedicated my career to, is to help the community. What I was doing before was fighting for human rights, was fighting for inclusion, was fighting to make sure that our community had representation in places like the legal profession, like in corporate Canada, like in many other places where there aren't that many Filipinos, and where there are Filipinos that are not in leadership positions. So, we talked about it during the break, Taste of Manila.
Yeah.
And, that's a great way to showcase our community, our values, what we're proud of. And that's what I've been trying to do in other places. So, we have a judge in Ontario who's on the Court of Appeal, Steve Carosa. He's a Filipino. And we fought to make sure that we had somebody on the Court of Appeal.
Okay.
In the same way, that's what I've been fighting for with my career. And so to become a politician, it's part of that journey. It's to make sure that the Filipino community has representation at Queen's Park, and to make sure that our interests are represented with the provincial government.
All right. I've seen here in your flyer here that you have been, so what you said, you are advocating social justices, right? Of course, you have been fighting child pornography, human traffickers, war criminals, and combating corruption. Have you seen some corrupt practices here in Ontario, in the province of Ontario, while doing your job as a legal luminary, helping these people that don't have money to hire lawyers?
Well, I've seen a lot of I've seen a lot of things in my jobs.
Yeah.
What I've seen is, hardworking people, trying to get by in a province that is very blessed with a lot of opportunity.
Yes, yes.
But with a government that doesn't actually help those people, but helps their friends. So you asked me if I've seen corruption. I've seen it in this current government.
Okay.
I've seen them take money that should be spent on education.
Education,
Should
correct.
be spent on our healthcare workers, on our
Yes.
PSWs.
Yes.
And instead, what they do is they spend it on projects that help their friends. So I have seen corruption,
Okay.
and that's what I'm going to fight against.
Mhm.
In my day job, what I see is hardworking small business owners trying to make sure that they can serve their communities, trying to survive, the multiple lockdowns that we've had in Ontario because our
For 2
government
years, right?
because our government couldn't handle the pandemic. They
Okay.
didn't have a plan. And instead, they kept locking us down. They couldn't keep us safe. And they couldn't keep these businesses afloat. They couldn't help. And so what I've seen is that kind of level of incompetence from our government. And so that's what I'm fighting for, is to fight for the small businesses that will be taking part in Taste of Manila. For our kababayan who have been on the front lines as healthcare workers, as long-term care workers, and I want to give them the pay that they deserve. For the kids in our community who are growing up here, we brought our families here to give them a better life, and I want our education system to give our Filipino youth a chance to succeed. That's what I want to fight for, and I'm going to fight for the Filipino community, but also all of the residents of Willowdale. And that's what the Liberal Party is fighting for all of the residents of Ontario.
Well, of course, that's a nice platform of government, your project, your program. But of course, we all know that the number one issue here is the pandemic. Why are you saying that the COVID-19 pandemic response by the Ontario government here is not enough to combat really what's true happening in giving probably all the things, vaccines, financial aid to all these people affected by this pandemic?
Well, alam natin marami silang ginawa na mali, right? Marami silang ginawa na mali during the pandemic.
Okay, could you mention 1, 2, or 3 probably?
So, sick days.
Sick days.
Diba? So, kung nagkasakit ka during the pandemic, wala kang job security kung wala kang legislated paid sick days. Instead, a lot of people had to take the risk to go to work because if they don't show up to work,
No work, no pay.
no work, no pay. Or they even, don't show up, you get fired, right? Because if the government doesn't protect you with legislation to say you are entitled to take sick days, then you don't have that protection from your employer to let you go. And what they did was they cut those sick days as soon as they came into power in 2018. The Liberal government before gave us 10 paid sick days. And the Liberal government, if you return us on June 2nd, we will bring back those 10 paid sick days. And we will help the small businesses who say, well, I can't afford to pay my employees. We will help you. We will provide supports to small businesses so they can then pay their employees, so their employees can take those sick days.
Is the federal government doing that?
Well, the federal government provided support. The provincial government, what they did,
Must also provide that kind of financial aid?
they must provide that support, but what did the provincial government do with the money that the federal government gave them?
Okay.
They did not spend that money. They kept it. They kept that money in their pocket.
Oh, could they do that? Could
What?
the government do that? Hold on the money provided by the federal government?
Well, that's what they did. And so when we asked them, where did you spend that
Okay.
money? Nobody can tell us. Nobody can tell us where billions of dollars from the federal government
Yes,
went.
I know.
And so you said two things that they
Yes.
did wrong. That's just two. There's lots of things they did wrong. With the vaccine rollout, how long did it take for people to get their vaccines? How many lineups did people have to wait, right? How many people got their vaccines way later than they should have? Where are the kids getting vaccinated? Those are the things that will protect our community. So
They are doing it right now.
well, they're doing it 2 years.
Because the election time is coming, right?
Exactly. So all the promises.
So they're releasing all the money now.
all the promises that
They are
they have
giving
made.
another to child care, to the
Yeah.
child school now.
Yeah.
I read about it because they are sending us press releases.
Exactly. Anong ginawa nila? Nang 4 na taon silang gobyerno,
Okay?
na tinulungan ang tao. Wala. Hanggang malapit na ang election, ngayon sila magpapangako.
Yes, at saka-
Ngayon sila magpapangako.
Papalabas ng pera.
Ngayon sila bibilihin ang boto mo. Ngayon.
O na. Sabihin, vote buying na yung kanilang mga proyekto na yan.
Exactly.
Kasama na ang pag-hire ng mga teacher. Alam mo, maraming Pilipinong member ng Ontario teachers sa no?
Oh yeah, maraming Filipino teachers, tapos maraming teachers na sabi, bakit ngayon gagawin mo yan? Ang dami na nating request na keep the school safe.
Correct.
You know, put ventilation in, put masks in schools.
Uh-huh.
Let teachers
Saka
be safe and let students be safe.
students in the room.
Exactly.
Di ba? Dahil they have to hire more teachers pag gumawa ka ng another room for limitado lang sa 15, 20 na yun, 35 na naman yata. Ano?
Yeah. So, tanong mo ulit po, nag-umpisa ka ng tanong sa mo nagdamdamin yung maging politician.
Oo.
Pero ang unang-unang naalala ko na political memory,
Okay.
yung conservative government dito sa Ontario, si Mike Harris.
Mike Harris, correct.
Yung ginawa ni Mike Harris, pareho ginawa ni Doug Ford.
Yeah.
He cut healthcare spending. He cut education funding. The first protest that I attended was a student protesting
Yes.
Mike Harris's cuts to the education system. And now, it's the same thing many years later with the same type of people running government, with the conservative government cutting education. Now, I have protested, and now I'm going to run for office to make sure that these people don't keep repeating the same mistakes.
Alam mo kasi, isa sa nakita kong malaking problema ang ginawa nitong Doug Ford administration, tama ka sa edukasyon. Kasi I'm a graduate of teacher's profession here. Early childhood education, graduate ako rito, tapos teacher, graduate ako rito, member ako ng Filipino. Nag-uusap-usap kami, binabawasan pa niya yung mga teacher, imbes na tulungan niya. Mga teachers, nitong pumasok na ang pandemic, we were really surprised. Marami na tanggal ng mga teacher. And then now, nagmi-meeting na naman ito pa. Si Tony San Juan, I could still recall, he one of the founders of Teachers Association here in Canada. Nung we were conversing, kasi dito siya nung isang araw, pinag-usapan namin yung Taste of Manila. Sabi nga niya, nawala na suporta totally. Ang karamihan sa mga teachers, particular na Pilipino. No? Kaya nga ngayon, he was asking me if I could talk about it. Sabi ko, magiging guest kita ngayon. And they're listening right now. Mostly itong mga teachers ngayon. And that's why, binot out ko yung idea na yan. Ano? What could you possibly do para mabalik siguro yung tiwala ng mga, not only teachers, but other government officials dito sa Ontario, na suportahan ulit ang administrasyon, if and when Stephen Del Duca wins and you as an MPP of Picoday?
Well, marami kaming plano na tulungan ng community. Plano na yung tulungan
Mga
ng
tao mismo, businesses, professionals.
mga small business owners, yung mga pamilya na nag-suffer during the pandemic.
Correct.
Tutulungan kami. So, isa pang sabi mo, ano mga mistake na ginawa ng Ford government.
Yes, yes.
Naghintay sila until the very last minute, until mag-election na, to announce
So,
na,
election period din.
until mag-close the deal with the federal government for $10 childcare.
Yes.
So instead
That
of
was last week or 2 weeks ago.
And instead of waiting for as long as they did, they could have signed that deal sooner and saved families all that money.
Siya, dapat mo
Yeah.
yun eh.
So anong gagawin namin?
Yes.
para tulungan ang pamilya, bibigyan namin ng pera, retroactive, for all the money that they should have saved
For 2 years.
during the time that the deal should have been signed.
Ah.
So each family in
But
Ontario will get like up to $2,750
What?
for childcare. And that's what families deserve because they deserve a break.
Dapat noon pa yun pala.
Dapat yun ang dapat priority ng gobyerno, ng provincial government is to help families. Yung mga small businesses, kailangan nila ng suporta. Tanong ko, nag-usap kami ni Tito Rolly bago nag-umpisa ng
Correct.
show, right? Sabi ko, Tito, gaano karaming mga kababayan natin na naapektahan ng pandemya ng small business owners sila? Maraming nagsara ng
Yes, ng business.
ng small business. Pero marami din nag-uumpisa ng small business ngayon kasi magbubukas na tayo, right?
Uh-huh.
Gusto na natin, we want to get out of this pandemic, we want to start living our lives.
Right.
And a lot of people want to pursue their hopes and dreams of starting their small business. Anong gagawin namin ng gobyerno ng liberal? We will waive corporate taxes for small business owners
Wow.
for up to 2 years. We will go, and if you want to start a small business, you don't have to file any fees. So you will save fees of starting your small business.
Mhm.
Yun ang gagawin namin, na tulungan ng pamilya, tulungan ng small business owners dito sa Willowdale, dito sa Ontario. Yun ang gagawin ng liberal government. Hindi ginagawa ng
Oh, malaking bagay yun. Paano naman yung mga nagsarang small businesses? I tell you, like my newspaper, the Philippine Courier, in-close ko to nung mag-pandemic eh. Sapagkat wala tayong makuhang mga advertiser, yung mga advertiser natin na bumubuhay sa mga diaryong Pilipino, sapagkat walang hindi binebenta diaryong Pilipino rito. So, I close it. Di talo ko, ika nga natin. But of course, I could not continue sapagkat small business lang ang publishing ng mga Filipino newspaper dito eh. So, paano ko bubuksan ko rito? Nagbabalik na. How could I ask the provincial government? Dito yan, sa buong GTA yung dyaryo na yun.
Yeah.
Could I ask the provincial government or the federal government for siguro puhunan na naman sapagkat nalugi na nga ako ng malaki nito or I recoup whatever I've lost during the pandemic. Yun ang matitinding tanong ng mga seniors na eto, nagbigay sa akin ng questionnaires when they know, they learn that you are our guest here. They're listening all around the GTA now, especially the seniors. May tanong pa sila.
Well, kung anong tanong na pwede kong sagutin, sasagutin ngayon. Pero kung hindi ko masagot ngayon, pwede silang mag-contact sa office namin.
Okay.
Meron kaming opisina sa Finch.
So, iiwanan natin mamaya yung
address ko. Pero
headquarters.
punta kayo sa website. Mag-email kayo. Kung hindi ko masagot ang tanong ngayon, sasagutin ko mamaya para
Correct.
Pero ang sabi ko lang sa inyo, sa yung mga small business owners, kung gusto mo mag-umpisa ulit ng bagong small business, tutulungan kayo ng liberal government.
Okay.
Tutulungan kayo kasi bibigyan kayo ng yung corporate tax break for 2 years, and then you will also be able to start a new business without the filing fees and all the incorporation and administration fees. Yun ang gustong gawin ng liberal government para to encourage people to take risks, to encourage people to go and start their dreams.
Uy, maganda yan.
Right?
Pero unang-una, kailangan boto natin ng mga liberal. Ngayong June 2 election. Para mabigay sa atin ng liberal yan, yung kanilang pinapangako na yan. Right?
Yeah. And then, yung mga tao na nag-aalala ng anong mangyayari sa akin, anong mangyayari sa trabaho ko.
Yes.
Right? We have a plan to ensure that people are paid a living wage.
Ooh.
We have a plan to ensure that kung meron kang benefits sa trabaho mo ngayon, pwede mong dalhin sa susunod na trabaho mo. Pwede mong dalhin kung kahit sinong ang employer mo, you can bring the same benefits.
Ooh.
So you can have portable benefits.
Continuity ng benefits mo sa other job mo.
Para hindi natatakot ang tao na pag nawala ang trabaho, wala akong benefits. Yun ang yun ang pangako namin, yun ang plano namin para tulungan ng tao.
Kasi kakat short kita ron kasi sinasabi mong benefits. Maraming mga seniors na nagtatanong sa akin, tanong ko rin siya, paano kami na walang benefits na nung nagtatrabaho pa kami kasi no work, no pay kami, alam benefit yun. Matutulungan daw baka ng gobyerno yan.
Well, isa pa yun ang part ng plano namin.
Okay.
You know, sabi ko nga, when this Ford government got elected in 2018, tinanggal nila ang paid sick days. Tinanggal nila yon. Tapos, nung pandemya, ang daming tao sabi, kailangan namin ng paid sick days.
Correct.
Anong ginawa nila? Binigyan tayo ng
Tatlo.
Tatlo lang.
Yeah, 3 araw na paid sick leave.
Tapos,
14 days.
Exactly. Anong sabi ng mga doktor, ng mga experts? Kailangan mo ng 2 linggo para magpahinga.
14 days yung quarantine period mo,
Exactly.
3 araw lang ang bayad mo.
So, wala talaga silang isip sa tao, walang isip sa pamilya, walang isip sa small business. Yung pangako namin ng liberal government, kung ma-electa kami, ang iisip namin, ang focus namin, yung mga pamilya at saka mga small business.
Okay?
Yun ang tutulungan namin. Hindi katulad ng yung si Doug Ford. Ang tulong na yun, yung mga kaibigan lang niya.
Yeah, yun ang lumalabas yung mga business sa drinking, padding, golfing, buddies niya.
Yeah. And so, yung pera na napupunta dun sa mga kaibigan niya, hihintuin namin yun. Yung pera na kailangan
No more
invest,
friends.
yung kailangan na pera na invest natin sa healthcare, sa education, to support small businesses, yun ang gagawin ng liberal government. Yung pera ng probinsya, kailangan is we have to spend it on the people of the province. Doug Ford says he's for the people, pero kailangan for his friends lang siya. Not for
Selected
the
people siguro.
Selected people. Hindi hindi ako selected sa kanya.
Hindi, mga selected people sa kanya, yung siguro mga mayayaman na unlike us na hindi naman tayo mahirap. Wala namang mahirap sa Canada mayamang bansa ito. No? Minsan hindi lang sapat yung kinikita sapagkat yung dapat mapunta sa mga manggagawa, sa mga empleyado, sa mga professionals. Hindi nakakarating pag galing yung suporta from the federal to provincial government. Ganun siguro. So mga kababayan, bago ko tuluyang konfrontasi tawag ko rito Kasi malalalim tatanong ko pa sa kanya. Magbe-break muna tayo. Second break muna natin. DJ Anna and Open Forum with the Tony Paul Sagil will be back after some words from our friends. Don't go away. Ayos. Sa mga park, sa kumpiba ng political government mga pabahay, mga housing project. Kasama yun sa ang pondo ba lang pinagbibigyan ng provincial sa mga cities and municipalities.
Ang ano po?
Yung
Mga kababayan, pwede na magpadala ng pera online to the Philippines gamit ang IronNet X. It's safe, secure, and hassle-free. Download the app from the Google or App Store and register for free. You can also visit our branches in Toronto, Calgary, and Vancouver, or Google us at www.ironetx.com for more information. Huwag nang ipagpabukas pa. Download na!
Our company is committed to providing truthful, honest, competent, and result-oriented service through advising and representing our clients in Canada and overseas in a wide range of immigration matters. We focus on providing support, building dependable relationships, and promoting success. We are dedicated to understanding what results you want and to helping you understand what actions we can take on your behalf.
Simple lang kumita kahit nasa bahay ka lang. Gamit ang iyong Show My King online franchise business. Step 1, you post. Step 2, we deliver.
Yung Well, yan pong gandang lalaking litrato na yan, si Atty. Paul Sagil. Ito po, personal naman. Live.
Hindi ka katulad ng retrato, hindi ka ito kaganda.
Iba po, mas batang tingnan at mas guwapo. Sa personal po, ito si Atty. Paul Sagil, abogado Pinoy na the first Filipino MPP na mailuluklok natin sa parliament, ano?
Provincial Parliament.
Provincial
Sa Queen's
Parliament sa Queen's Park. Madalas kami nung araw, madalas marami kong kaibigan dyan at marami kong MPP mga kaibigan nung araw. Tulad nitong marami sa Richmond Hill, kaibigan ko yung mga nandyan. At they were asking me noon, sabi niya, run for, no, I'm not into politics. Dito lang siguro ako sa media, print and broadcast media, no? Ganun din naman, makatutulong ka rin kahit wala ka sa politics. That's what you were doing before venturing into politics nga. Kasi mas maganda yung nandun ka. Ano, you were really born, sa tingin ko sa'yo, to be a politician.
Ay, ganun.
Oo. Kung hindi sa Pilipinas, dito, sa Canada.
Alam mo, ang isip ko lang doon, kasi sinabi ko na, nag-usap na tayo, no? Gusto ko lang tumulong ng tao. Pag, when you're in the business of helping people and you're out in the community, maraming tao magtatanong sa'yo, natural na, bakit hindi ka tumakbo? Ba't hindi ka, no? And inisip ko lang, gusto kong tumulong in the ways that kailangan kong tumulong. So marami na akong nagawa ng ibang klaseng tulong. Katulad nung sinasabi natin, yung Taste of Manila. Well, TD sponsors
Taste of Manila ever since na mag-start ito ng 2014.
And ako po ang executive sponsor ng Filipinos at TD Employee Resource Group. So ibig sabihin nun, lahat ng mga empleyado ng TD na Pilipino dito sa Canada, tinutulungan ko dun sa kumpanya. Tapos, sinusuportahan namin ng mga empleyado sa TD, sinusuportahan namin yung mga kababayan natin sa komunidad. So, inisip ko na yun. Sabi ko, kung natutulungan ko ang komunidad na ganito, bakit hindi ako tumulong? Bakit hindi ako tumulong sa ibang klase?
Correct.
So, ganito na ang gusto kong gawin. Ngayon, natulungan ko ang Pilipino ng ganito. Natulungan ko na ang community na dito sa Toronto. Gumawa na ako ng like I've been on boards, I've been on community organizations, I fought for human rights. So sabi ko, and I said to myself, what else can I do? How else can I give? How else? And what is the thing that impacts people's lives the most in this country is government laws and policies. And so I said, we need to have a voice where those decisions are made. We need to have representation. And we need to have somebody that will stand up for families, for small businesses, that will fight against corruption.
Okay.
And that's why I'm doing this.
Alright, may isang nagtanong lang dito, no? Being a lawyer, tumatanggap ka ba ng mga kaso pro bono pag Pilipino?
Dati po. Dati.
Yung pro bono po, libre yun.
Yeah, dati. Pero ang gagawin ko po sa mga audience, kung kailangan nila ng tulong, ang maganda dito sa Canada, marami na tayong kababayan. Dati, nung nag-eskwelahan ako, wala akong kilalang Pilipino na abogado.
Okay.
Pero konti-konti lang tayo. Ngayon, ang dami na
Marami
natin.
na abogado ngayon.
Exactly. So ang rekomendasyon ko sa mga kababayan natin, kung kailangan nila ng tulong, contact an organization called the Filipino Canadian Lawyers Network. FCLN.
Ayun, tingnan niyo po yung ito, huwag na bagitin.
Yeah. So, maraming tayong kababayan na gustong tulungan ang komunidad natin. We have a lot of Filipino-Canadian lawyers that want to help the community.
Yes.
So, I've been a part of the Filipino-Canadian Lawyers Network, and I've been a part of the Federation of Asian Canadian Lawyers. And so I want to make sure that people know there are lots of lawyers that will help them. And these are the kinds of reasons why I work in these spaces. If you help people become lawyers, if you help people go into politics, then there will be more of us to help these problems. Right?
At pag nagsama-sama naman tayo, ilagay natin sa pwesto ito. Si Atty. Paul Sagil dyan. MPP. tandaan nyo, mas maraming matutulungan to. Kababayan natin to. Talagang matagal na namin kilala ni Cecil Araneta, yung pong producer namin dito sa Tom's Radio. At saka yung organizer ngayon, chief organizer ng Taste of Manila, Cecil Araneta. Tulad po, meron kami programa ni Tita Cecil dito, On the Job. Libre yun. Nagbibigay yung mga nangangailangan ng tao, they are not Filipinos pa, ha? Nagsasabi sila kung anong employer o employee kailangan nila, anong staff. Tinutulong yung programa namin yung till linggo, alas 3 hanggang alas 4 ng hapon, on the job. Marami na kami na tulungan na i-repair na karamihan dyan yung mga naghahanap ng second job, mga part-time.
Yeah.
Yun. Parang ikaw rin nung araw tumutulong. Hanggang ngayon, Pilipino pa pag na-start na tumulong, di tumitigil eh.
Hindi talaga. Kaya yun ang values, yun ang parang principles na dinala natin dito sa Canada eh. Kaya yun ang values and principles na gusto kong dalhin dun sa Queen's Park mismo.
Yes, alam mo sa Queen's Park, sabi nga siya, marami kong kakilala dyan hindi Pilipinong MPP eh. At saka yung staff nila. Maraming Pilipino pong member ng staff ng mga MPP. Yung mga kilala ko yung doon, karamihan dyan, liberal eh. At saka yung mga PC, wala naman kasi politika sa amin dito sa broadcast media, no? Sa print media. Pero I will ask your assistant siguro para posibleng ma-guess natin kung may time si OLP President Steven Del Duca. Kung ma-i-invite lang natin siya, no? Tingnan natin kung sapagkat gusto rin marinig ng mga Pilipino how Del Duca will reign as the Ontario Premier. No? Tingnan natin, sapagkat sabi mo nga, maraming pagkukulang na hindi ginawa ang Dogford administration. Kung papalitan ba namin, ano ang papangako o pwedeng gawin, di Del Duca. Because Del Duca is just a new name as far as most Filipinos here are concerned. Hindi ba? Bagong naging pinuno yan ng OLP. Di ba? Ontario Liberal Party leader. Ika nga natin, ano? Kahit nga dyan sa amin, sa Richmond Hill. Buti nga, ikaw, kilala rin sa Richmond Hill, Pilipino. Pag Pilipino tumatakbo, kilala ng mga Pilipino. Pero, tanong mo kung sino head ng partido, liberal, hindi nila alam.
Well, the good thing is, I'm sure if you ask, Stephen will be happy to appear on the program and talk to the viewers.
Yes.
But what is great about the party is that we have a lot of good candidates in the places that you mentioned. Here in York Center, you have Shelley Brown. In Richmond Hill, you have Bruce Bay, Farhani. You have so many people in.
Reza Moridi is not running anymore.
No.
He's a friend, many years na MPP yun eh. Namin sa Kwan. Dr. Riza Moridi is a dear friend of mine. Sabi ko nga sa'yo, marami kong kaibigan mga liberal na opisyalis naman. They were able to help kababayang Pinoy. Mga MP na nakatutulong nun, yung mga Pilipino po kasing nahihirapan kumuha US visa. Alam naman natin, MP sa kanyang prerogative to support. Ang MPP, pang-probinsya lang tayo eh, no? Hindi sila makapag-endorse nung kukuha ng visa papunta sa US.
Well, maraming ibang pwedeng tulungan ng MPP. So, ang importante, kailangan natin ng mga tao na gustong tumulong.
Yes.
Kasi, maski hindi nila magagawa ng sarili nila,
correct,
pwede silang maghanap ng pwedeng tumulong sa iyo. Yun ang importanteng alalahanin ng tao. This is what I want viewers to remember. Even if you're MPP, or your representative at any level of government, even if they don't have the authority to do something themselves, they can help you find some solutions. They can help you find somebody else to help.
Yes. Referral lang ng MPP, malaking bagay na eh.
If they want to help. And that is the most important thing to remember. If they want to help.
Yeah.
And so we need to elect people who want to help.
Correct.
Because if you elect people and all they care about is their friends, or they don't care to show up in the community, like the representative in Willowdale, who the community doesn't know who he is, he never shows up. I knock on doors, and they ask, oh, there's an election, and they said yes. Have you ever seen your MPP? And they said no, I don't even know who he is. So we have to elect people who want to
So
help.
you have to be visible to these electorates, right?
You just have to show up, but you have to want to help. Otherwise, why are you doing this job?
Yeah.
If
This is a job. You are applying for this position, and the electorates are your future employer, right?
And everybody just wants you to show up and
Correct.
just help. That's really it. And even if you don't have the answer, so sabi natin kanina, maraming listeners, maraming tanong sila.
Yes, correct.
Alam sasabihin ko sa'yo, this is what I will say. I don't have all the answers. Hindi ako nagpapangako na masusolve
Masasagot mo lahat.
lahat ng problema
Correct.
ninyo, tapos na pag inelekta mo ang gobyerno liberal. Hindi ganon. That's not a promise. Ang promise namin is makikinig kami sa iyo. We will listen to you because we care about families. We care about small businesses. So, kung wala akong sagot ngayon, hindi dapat isipin mo, ay wala siyang sagot, hindi niya alam. Tapos sabihin mo, ay nakikinig siya. Kukuha siya ng tanong, tapos babalikan niya ako. He will find an answer and then he will get back to me because he cares. That's the kind of people that we want to elect.
Would you believe tumakbo akong mayor na Richmond Hill in 2007? Simply because of, there was a problem there, discrimination sa Richmond Hill. Medyo dinidiscriminate ang Filipino. Medyo na ako doon, and then tumakbo ko. Ilan lang ang botante namin ng 2007 sa only citizens could vote. Right? And so, sabi ko nga, I have my may slogan ako nun, meron akong pinalabas. Sabi ko to the Richmond Hillers, your say is my way. Kung nasabihin mo, ito yung nagagawin ko because yung iba, di ko lang ang problema. Di ba? Not all politician knows the problem of your community. Well, so you have to tell the politician or the candidate, this is our problem. What could be your solution to it? Ngayon, tatanungin kita, we still have 5 minutes. What are your 5 major concerns?
5. Ang dami.
5 lang. O, sige. Tatlo na lang yung major concern mo. Yung government, not promises because promises are to be broken. No? Anong major concern mo na pwede mong magawa sa constituent na tong yung Philippines, but the whole province as well?
So, itong mga concern ko, concern din ng mga tao sa Willowdale. Concern din ng Filipino community. My top concerns are also the concerns of the Willowdale community and the Filipino community.
Correct.
I care about education.
Education.
I would not be where I am today if I didn't have a good education, and I went to public schools here in Ontario. We need to invest in our public schools here in Ontario. We need to make sure that the
Number
schools
one
are
of
safe.
your concern is education,
Yeah.
right?
We need to make sure that the schools are safe so that kids can learn in a safe environment. That doesn't mean that, obviously we need to make sure that the schools are safe for when the kids are back in school so that they can be safe from COVID, make sure that they can get vaccinated or make sure that those schools are well ventilated. But it also means the schools are safe for kids who are bullied. Make sure that the kids are safe from discrimination.
Correct.
Right? And I want to make sure that the education that we receive is actually going to prepare people for the jobs of the future. Right? I want to make sure, affordable housing here in Toronto.
Housing is your number 2 concern.
Affordable housing, affordability of living.
Affordability of
in
living,
general,
right? Not
right?
only housing.
is
Living.
important to the people in Willowdale, to the people in Toronto.
Okay.
And I think it's very important for us in the Filipino community. We want to be able, we keep saying it, people come here to bring their families for a better life, right? And so when we come here and say we can't afford to buy a house, we can't afford to send our kids to the right schools, or we don't know whether we're going to get the right jobs. That's what I want to focus on, is to make sure that we have opportunities for the next generation to participate in Canadian society,
Okay.
right? And I want to make sure that Ontario as a whole is competitive, right? Our economy is changing. We know that the world is changing, and we
Right.
have to be ready to change with it. We have to be ready to invest in green solutions, to take care of the environment. We have to make sure that we have jobs that are ready for the future, because things are going to get more complex and more interconnected. And so we have to prepare our youth and also people today who are in the workforce, that they have the support that they need. So if they need to transition from their jobs, that we give them the retraining. If people are starting small businesses, that they have the support that they need. I want to make sure that we have a growing, thriving economy here in Ontario.
Saan papasok din yung healthcare?
Well, healthcare is part of affordability. Healthcare is part of a thriving economy. I ask you, again, when you come and then live in Ontario, what do you want? You want a good job, affordable housing, safe schools, a system that works. All of that is part of the infrastructure that the government has to support. We can't attract, maintain, keep people in Ontario. We can't keep families in Toronto. We can't keep good workers and we can't keep good jobs here if we can't offer decent schools, if we can't offer healthcare that is reliable. And so when we say, well, where does healthcare come in? It's like the foundation,
Correct, correct.
right? All of the things that we talk about isn't possible if we don't have a social safety net. And so it is part of delivering a good education. It is part of delivering jobs. It is part of delivering a safer Ontario to make sure that we have a good healthcare system. And it is part of the Liberal plan to make sure that the healthcare workers, particularly those from the Filipino community, get the pay and the benefits that they
Because
deserve.
there's a lot of budget, a million, possibly billions. Where will you get the funding? Are you going to raise the tax, the provincial tax?
No. The money will come from stopping projects that this current government has put their money towards.
Ooh.
And instead,
Eliminate those unnecessary projects
and
that
instead
cost
dedicating
millions.
it, instead dedicating it to the projects that actually help people. So instead of building a highway that nobody wants,
Yes.
we take the billions of dollars. You're talking billions.
Yeah, we're
right?
talking billions
We're
here.
talking billions to build a highway that nobody wants. And instead, put it into education, put it into the healthcare system, put it in small businesses.
Put it in security, you know. There are a lot of crimes going on right now. You haven't discussed about the peace situation here in the province.
So I want to address this question. I want to address this question because people think that, oh, you spend money here, then you spend money here.
Yes.
No. Peace and security comes if people have good jobs, if people have good education, if people have good health care. So instead of spending money on the things that we think are going to address those issues, what we should focus on is the foundation of our society. So instead of saying, what are you going to do to spend money on this, on that, we will focus on the fundamentals.
Yeah.
Education, healthcare, and jobs. Because that's what people care about. And so when people say, I want a safe society has good schools. A safe society has good healthcare. A safe society has good jobs. That way, people don't have an excuse and don't have a reason to commit crimes. That's how we will keep people safe.
You know, I like your idea, I like your program. So it is doable. I think it's very, very doable. The only thing that differs you to my own perspective is the security and peace situation. See, because I don't know if it is the problem of the federal and the provincial, the gun ban project, and then, you know, the proliferation of more MJ. You know what MJ is? There are a lot of stores here, marijuana, cannabis, or what.
So dalawang sasabihin ko sa'yo. So,
Matindi
una.
yun eh. Matindi ang
Yeah.
cost ng coin yun eh.
so unang-una,
Security.
unang-una, kailangan natin ng gobyerno na respetado ang law and order.
Correct.
Anong ginawa nitong gobyerno na to?
Ah.
Yung nag-protest ang mga tao, tapos they held hostage the national capital.
Correct.
Walang ginawa ang provincial government.
Wala nga.
Wala silang ginawa. So, hindi mo masasabi na peace and security kung yung gobyerno mismo, they don't care about peace and security. Right? So, unang-una, kailangan tayong mag-elekta ng gobyerno na will actually do something to preserve the peace and security. Pangalawa, ang sinabi mo yung the proliferation of cannabis stores.
Yes.
So, cannabis is legal in Canada.
Correct.
Just like smoking is legal in Canada, just like alcohol is legal in Canada. That's not the question. The question is, you don't see a liquor store at every corner. You don't see a liquor store in every corner because we zone things specifically to make sure that there are only certain amount of liquor stores in a given situation.
Correct.
And that was the mistake that this provincial government did.
Could the provincial government under the Del Duca or liberal administration stop the proliferation of cannabis stores? See, I've read the research. There are 660 LCBO stores all over Canada. We're in a cannabis store, double it.
Yeah. Well, it's
Because
exactly the
the
problem.
cannabis
But that's exactly the problem, right? You have a government that lets the market do whatever it wants.
Okay,
It doesn't
now
regulate
I'm
it
asking
properly.
you, will the Del Duca government replacing the Dogford government stop this?
What? No, the government that needs to work together are the provincial government and the municipal governments to
Okay.
make sure that where there is a municipal plan for residential neighborhoods, that those residential neighborhoods have a say in the kinds of stores that are set up there, that are kind of zoned there. So that's the important principle to remember, is that municipal governments plan the zoning, and so when there is a municipal plan for zoning, that zoning should be respected. And instead, you shouldn't have a provincial government that allows market participants to just set up shop wherever they want. That's really the issue.
That's why I'm asking you, could, if you win, if the liberal wins here,
But that's
What is-
that's what we've been talking about. If you want a
win,
government,
what will you do about
if you
it?
want a government that does exactly what it's
Uh.
done, then keep electing the same government. If you want a government to do something different, you elect a different
What will
government.
you do with it? I'm telling you now that you win.
I'm telling you exactly what will be done.
What will you do
A
with this?
provincial government has to work with the municipal government.
Okay?
This provincial government doesn't work with municipal governments. It doesn't work with municipal, it doesn't even talk to municipal politicians.
You mean to say the province has no power over the municipalities as far as this cannabis store is concerned?
No, the plan of the municipality has to be what the residents want, right?
Mhm.
And so the provincial government, when it licenses stores, has to respect the municipal plan.
The provincial government could just not give their comments
No,
on
because
this?
the reason why, so let me make sure that your readers and your viewers understand this.
Mhm.
We have different levels of government for different issues.
I know.
And so we don't want provincial government
To interfere.
in municipal
That's the word,
plans
interfere with them.
just whenever they want. Because every time you ask that question, why don't they just do something about it? Why don't they just interfere?
Yes, correct.
Then the next time they will interfere in something that they don't belong.
Okay?
And so that's why we have rules in place about when and why different levels of government can act. That is the point. So if you have a municipal plan, that municipal plan has to be respected.
You know,
A
it's-
provincial government
Yes.
that does not respect that municipal plan is not doing its job.
Of course.
And so the reason why we have a proliferation of these stores is because we've allowed these stores in spite of what the municipal plans have allowed. So the question should be, are the provincial government, when licensing these stores, talking to their municipal counterparts? And if the governments are not talking to each other, then we have the problems that we have.
Yeah,
So it's not about interference. No, Tito, it's important. It's not about interference. It's not about a government interfering. It is about a government talking to another level of government and making sure that they are working together for the people.
Kasi hindi naman lahat ng mga tao sa isang munisipalidad ay papayag na magkaroon ng isang tindahan ng isang cannabis. Sapagkat alam nila ang epekto niyan Pero nakita natin, halos buong Canada na every corner, especially in Toronto, may tindahan. Dito nga sa ibaba ng building, meron eh. Hindi aprobado yung mga tao dyan. Pero ginusto ng City Council, aprubahan niyan, eh ang licensing niya nasa probinsya. Kaya nga, hindi ba nag-uusap si Tory at saka si Doug Ford about it?
Well, exactly
Bigay na lang ng bigay ng
Exactly.
lisensya.
Bigay ng lisensya, hindi sila nag-uusap.
Kaya nga, ang tanong ko nga sa'yo kanina, kung mananalo pa kayo,
Kung mananalo kung mananalo ang ibang
Yes, anong liberal?
kailangan mag-usap.
yun ang sinasabi
Yun
ko.
ang sinasabi ko. Yun din ang sinasabi ko.
Kaya nga.
Kung gusto mo ng gobyerno na hindi nakikipag-usap sa municipal council, elekta mo si Doug
So
Ford.
may kapangyarihan ng probinsya
Yeah.
sa licensing niyan. Pwede niyang hindi bigay ang lisensya kung makikita niya na hindi talaga totoo yung nangyayari.
Exactly.
Kaya nga sabi ko, kaya bang gawin nyo ng daldo ka government pag nanalo na kayo? Teka muna, hinto muna yan, pag-usapan natin yan, tingnan natin
Pag-usapan
ito.
natin yan.
Yun!
Yun ang importante.
Correct!
Kung hindi gustong makipag-usap ng gobyerno, walang mangyayari na diferensya.
Agad ko bibigyan ng lisensya kung ayaw nyo kong kausaping provincial. Ang primerang bibigay nun.
Ganun yun talaga. Kaya ang nakakainit ng ulo dito kasi alam natin ganito ang modus operandi ng provincial government.
Kumikita lahat yan, nandun
Kita
yan
lang
ang
sila,
corruption eh.
yeah, kita lang sila
Diba?
nakita. Wala silang baliwala lang yung municipal government, baliwala lang yung mga resident.
Correct.
Kita lang sila ng lisensya ng fees.
Sinasabi lang, aprobado ng
Yan lang yun.
mga mamamayan, hindi totoo yun. Nagagawa ng paraan sa konseho ng siyudad at ng munisipyo.
Yeah.
The city council approves it and asks the provincial to give them the licensing permit. Ganun yun eh.
Kailangan mong kausapin yung city councilors, kailangan mong kausapin yung mga residents kung ano talaga ang gusto nila. Yun ang importante.
Ano
Ang
po?
alalahanin natin, we're in a democracy, right?
Correct.
We're in a democracy, so kailangan mong kausapin. Pero, ito ang importante ding alalahanin. Kung gusto ng mga residents, yun ang mangyayari.
Ano kung ayaw?
Hindi naman lahat ng tao magiging mas masaya. Yun ang alalahanin natin democracy. Kasi itong problema natin na kaya kita mo na may nag-protest, di ba? May ayaw nila ng COVID vaccine, ayaw nila ng mask. Kung hindi ka masaya, bumoto ka. Kung ayaw mo ng ganitong mga maraming cannabis store, bumoto ka ng gobyerno hindi mag-a-approve na, ng city council na hindi mag-a-approve na. Pero hindi mo pwedeng sabihin na, ay, hindi ko gusto yan, hindi ako magpa-participate.
Kasi may mga town hall meeting yan eh. Para ipasa ang isang bill. Ano yung sa Richmond Hill eh. At hindi ko makalusot sa amin yun eh. Kasi pag alam ko ng gano'n na, ako as a concerned citizen, no? At the same time, member ako ng media, pag ang alam ko ang isang bill ang ipapasa rin sa aking lugar, na concern na ang health ng taong makikamukha ng cannabis, alang store ng cannabis sa Richmond Hill. Pinag-uusapan, may town hall meeting, papatawag yung mayor, kung interesado ka, pumunta ka, i-voice out mo yung opinion mo, I don't like it. Sa Toronto, wala akong makita na every corner here, you know.
Well, then kailangan mo...
Meron sila eh.
Kaya hindi kailangan mo kausapin yung kaibigan mo si James Pasternak. O kung sino ang city councilor mo dito. Diba? Yun lang naman. Pero, hindi mo pwedeng sabihin na kung ayaw mo mismo, kung ikaw sarili mo, ayaw mo, eh may ibang gusto. Democracy tayo eh.
Hindi, ibig sabihin yan, alam mo naman, kahit sa ang election, unanimous. Hindi papasa isang batas, kundi unanimous yan.
Hindi ganon tayo. Hindi kailangan yun. Democracy tayo.
Ibig sabihin 50 plus 1%.
Kung may majority na may gusto, yun ang mangyayari. Pero ang importante, respetuhan ang process.
Correct.
Respetuhan ang process. Yun ang importante. Hindi ko masasabi kasi hindi ako nagpe-prescribe sa community kung anong gusto nila.
Correct.
Right? Sila magsasabi kung gusto nila o hindi nila gusto kung may bagong cannabis store.
Okay.
Pero Tito, kung ikaw ayaw mo, yung kapitbahay mo gusto niya, isa sa inyong hindi mananalo.
Correct.
Ganun ang democracy. Pero kung may democracy na nagsabi na gusto nilang yun ang gagawin, yun ang mangyayari. Ganun tayo dito. It's a democracy.
Ang Canada politically kwento no? Kung sino nakaupuhan dyan sa federal, yun ang mostly nasusunod
Hindi naman ganon.
Correct.
Ibang klase, ibang gobyerno.
Federal, provincial, municipal, kanya-kanya yan
Meron tayong ibang
Ang
responsibility.
cannabis, federal yan. Correct? Federal law. Magkano kinikita ng government ng federal? Billions. Taon-taon. Magkano share ng Toronto? I'm not against liberal. Liberal ako Pero the problem, kaya sabi ko, nasa gitna ako ngayon. Sabi ko, kita mo? Tsaka, tinignan ko, nag-research ako, mas marami pa nga ang cannabis store kesa sa LCBO.
Yeah.
O diba? Bakit nag-ibat sa Toronto? Ang dami dyan.
Kasi yun ang binoboto ng
Dahil yun, ang malaking kinikita lang nakaupo
ng mga city councilor sa ng lisensya.
Wala namang partido yung mga local government.
So, ang tao, kailangan nila, kung gusto nilang makapag-usap dito, kausapin nila ang city councilor.
Correct.
Kailangan yun ang kausapin nila.
Mhm.
Ang kailangan gawin ng tao is to participate in the democracy. And if it is a democracy, sometimes you win and sometimes you lose.
Hindi sometimes, pag talo ka, pag panalo ka.
Hindi naman ganun. Kasi
Wala naman nagtatable sa politika.
Hindi. If you participate in politics, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. But that's why we have a political system
Correct.
that allows for debate.
Correct.
And sometimes people, over time, change their minds.
Mhm.
And depending on what the facts of the situation is, sometimes they change their minds.
Correct.
And so that's why you need to keep having those conversations. So it doesn't mean that you lose now, you lose forever, but it also doesn't mean that you have to keep fighting the same fight. Maybe the reason why we have all of these things is because most people are okay with it. And that's fine. And if you don't like it, that's the democracy.
Correct. Correct. Now, narinig po natin yung palitan pa namin ng kuro-kuro ni Atty. Paul Sagil at nasa inyo po yan. If you want to change, don't for changing, boto natin yung Israel.
Exactly.
Stephen Duca. Yan po ang Ontario Liberal Party leader. Ito po ang ating kababayan, Atty. Paul Sagil, ang kandidato ng Liberal sa MPP Willowdale area. It is a riding, right? The area. At yan po, napakaraming Pilipino dyan. Iluklok na po natin, kababayan natin, na may boses tayo dyan. Sa Queen's Park, nagpupunta tayo dyan. Karamihan, June yung selebrasyon ng Independence Day. Si Atty. Paul Sagil po kailangan ng boses ng mga Pilipino. Hindi lang Pilipino boboto dito, napakarami pong butante dito sa Willowdale area. Isa sa pinakamalaking area dito po sa Toronto. Okay po, your parting words, Tommy.
Well, unang-una, maraming salamat sa oras natin na mag-usap tayo ng values.
Yes.
Kasi yun ang importante. Maraming tao na inisip, ay, ito ang issue ko, ito ang issue ko. Pero sa akin, sabi ko, sometimes you will have disagreements with politicians about issues.
Correct.
But the important thing is, what are their values? What do they care about? Right? Some people might not like the whole discussion about marijuana, and some people might not like all this discussion about different things. But the important thing is, what are the values of the people that are in power? And if you don't like those values, if those values are not yours, you should elect someone that shares your values. And I've talked to you today about why I, as a member of the Filipino community, share the values of our kababayan. And that's what I will bring to Queen's Park. So, ang tanong ko lang sa inyo, sa mga kababayan, dalawa lang. Kung pwede kayong tumulong kayo. Kailangan namin ng mga volunteers. Kailangan namin ng mga donors. So, punta ka sa website, votesagil.ca, tapos tulungan ninyo kami. And then pangalawa, sabihin ninyo sa mga kaibigan ninyo, marami tayong nag-usap tayo. You know a lot of people in the Filipino community, we talk to each other. Even if you live in Mississauga, even if you live in Richmond Hill, you will have friends in Willowdale.
Correct.
Tell your friends in Willowdale, whether they're Filipino or not, tell them we have a chance to make history. Vote for Paul Sigel.
Alam mo po, yung karamihan sa mga botante, hindi na alam silang time tumingin pa sa website. Pakibanggit mo ngayon kung saan yung iyong headquarters dyan sa Finch and Young.
Dalawin niyo po kami, 126.
126.
126 Finch Avenue East. Malapit lang dun sa subway, meron kaming parking lot, pwede kayong
Ayun.
dumalaw.
126 Finch East.
Opo.
Malapit sa subway yun eh.
Opo.
Alam ko yung lugar niya. Puntahan niyo po yan mga kababayan. Ha? Kung magbo-volunteer, pirma kayo ron. Tulungan natin to. Magbabayan to. Well, maraming salamat po. Paul, paalam gali.
Paalam po sa inyo. Thank you for having me. And please visit the website, votesigil.ca, or come visit us, 126 Finch Avenue East. And just remember, on June 2nd, vote Liberal, vote Paul Sigil in Willowdale.
Well, thank you very much, Paul. In behalf of my producer, mamaya po, kasunod nito ang yung Datol Order, binigyan ko na ng pagkakataon, baka po mamaya sa later na, yung Tinig ng Bayan na Days of Manila Bulletin with Rolly Mangante and Cecil Araneta. Thank you very much, Tony Paul. Don't worry, mananalo ka. Lahat ng sinabi namin dito nagkatotoo. Since the start that we interviewed, tatanda mo si dating PC head. I started interviewing the guy nung siya tumatambong head ng PC. He asked me, will I win? You will win the party presidency. Siya nga nanalo. But you will not win against.
Well,
Ganun na nangyari. Alam mo, iba rin siguro yung nakikita natin eh. Kasi pag nakausap mo na tao, makikita mo yung sincerity
yeah.
sa kausap mo. Yung gano'n. I've seen sincerity in you since the first time that we interviewed in the Under Radio.
Yeah.
Remember, and I'm telling you now, you will win.
Salamat po. Sana sa susunod tayo. I hope the next time we see each other, Taste of Manila.
Taste of Manila.
Sana akong representado ng Filipino.
Sigurado na yan po.
Salamat
Thank
po.
you very much. Maraming salamat po. DJ Ann Agustin, thank you very much. Susunod na po ang programang Tinig ng Bayan na Taste of Manila Bulletin na Rolly Mangante with Cecil Araneta.